Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting on July 1st, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. So to begin our day, we're going to have a call to order. We have Jim Lampos here, first Selectman Jim Lampos, Selectwoman Jude Reed, and Miss Martha Shoemaker, first Selectwoman. So that starts our day. And then we start off with information items, communications and correspondence. Just so you know, to bring you up to date, don't forget that the Midsummer Festival will be happening on July 27th here in town. And the fireworks are the night of the 27th with a rain date of July 28th. Also, both of you remember that the Soundview Parade is on this weekend on July 6th. Begins at 10 a.m. But we are supposed to be there at 9:45 for lining up. Okay. Do either of you have any communications or correspondence? I have a few, but I'll let you guys go first.
The only one I have is the one from Bob Antoniak, and I think we both received that today.
You did.
Okay.
It's kind of a concern, but also a positive. So,
And then just William Follin's resignation.
right. Tim, anything?
Yeah, I would like at some point to discuss some of Bob Antoniak's concerns. Also received correspondence from Olaf Bertram Nothnagel about, and you got that. Do you want to discuss that?
We can
Or do you want to bring that up?
Couldn't hear you, Jim. I'm sorry.
Oh,
speak loud.
I'm sorry. We did receive correspondence from Olaf Bertram Nothnagel, and it concerned commissions and committees adding things to their agenda at the last minute and the public not being duly informed of those items being added, or adding controversial items on the day of the meeting and having them acted upon and not giving the public due notice thereof. So,
Not good.
we may want to discuss policies and procedures around that.
So there is always the chance, we do have to note that there is always the chance. I mean, we've amended our own agendas to include something that has come up since the agenda, especially since agendas are sometimes posted on Friday and then something comes up Monday morning. So we've done that ourselves, and we can try very hard, and I can send something out to have Katie send something out to the commissions and forward the concern. So we will do that.
I think many times we've been fairly cognizant of it and tried to say, okay, we're going to put off a decision until the next time if we bring it up.
Yes.
But I understand there are times where something needs to be acted upon that day, and we have done that. I think his concern was it's done as kind of a regular occurrence.
Anything else? And you want to talk about Bob's?
Yeah, I sort of, not in the particulars of his experience, although, customer service is something that's very important. But I think we're all very cognizant of that. But just in general, I'm also a guy who, I'm early adopter with technologies, but I would rather not use QR codes and apps if I don't have to. So I know that's an issue at the Soundview parking lot, and if there's a way of giving people an option to not have to use their phone, not have to use their credit card over an insecure connection, that's not a bad idea.
Along those lines, I have been in the town hall, and usually the ladies in the office are very helpful, but more than once a person has come in that's maybe 50 plus, it's very upset and not comfortable using a credit card on their phone, or struggling to use a QR code. And I know it's a first year. I feel like maybe we need to work on that a little more. And the same thing with the parking. It can be cumbersome, difficult, frustrating.
So we have, first of all, you only have to use the QR code if you're here. And it wasn't our payment system that was insecure. It was the one that he got led to when he took his phone out to the car. So that situation is a little different, but we've sold over 1,600 parking or permits for the beach parking lots. And out of those, we've had less than 50 concerns. So I think that's a pretty good road. And this permitting system is the same one that's used by the building department for all their permits. And we also just used it for dog licensing. And again, it seemed like there were not that many issues. I haven't heard from Vicki, but I will check in with her to make sure that there were no issues on her end as well.
I agree. And I know that he led to another site, but I do know people that just give up and walk away. And I feel badly that we can't service that handful.
Okay. I have a very nice thank you note from Will Capola. Dear Mrs. Martha Shoemaker and the Town of Old Lyme Government, thank you so much for awarding me with the Old Lyme Government Award. Your generous gift will be incredibly helpful next year. I am going to be attending Seton Hall University, where I will be studying international affairs and diplomacy. The towns of Lyme and Old Lyme have always been there to support me as I pursue my passion of government, whether through the school's Model UN Club or all the support I received while I was away in DC serving as a Senate page. I am incredibly grateful and will certainly miss home next year. Thank you, Will Capola, which was a nice note to receive, and that came today. I also received some information. I made copies of both of you from Joseph Baruch, and this was just that he did some his own average speed connections on, and he gives us a little bit about his background of why he did it, and it's just some data. And I think we should pass this data along to the Road and Public Safety Committee when they begin.
I think this is great. In particular, Brighton Road is tough because if you're looking for a beach in Old Lyme, it sends you down Brighton Road. So by the time they find out there is no beach to be used or attended, they turn around and go rather quickly up the road again. Thank you.
Do we know what the speed limit is on Brighton Road?
It's 20.
It's 20.
20.
Okay.
We did have a concern from also some people that asked that we use the mics at all of our public meetings. And I know some of our boards and commissions prefer not to use them, but they really should be for people in the audience who are hard of hearing. This really brings it about. The acoustics in here, especially if you're sitting in the back, can be difficult to hear. So we'll pass that along to the boards as well. Okay. Anything else? Okay, it's hearing none. We'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make public comment? Mary, come on up. And there's a mic right there for you. Mary Daly from Portland Ave.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, 9 Portland Avenue. I hope I'm not your table. But I wanted to say for some, even the smallest bit of change can be monumental. It may ruin a whole week, like a bad haircut could throw you off for a month. But over the past 5 years, what change is necessary, good or bad, it's going to happen. For over the past 5 years, I have attended almost every WPCA meeting and many selectmen meetings. In 22, myself and others from the community raised several concerns regarding the sewer project, blight on 156, safety, property rights, etc. We came to the Board of Selectmen out of frustration because we could not get answers from the appointed committees, particularly the WPCA. Raising our concerns directly to selectmen seemed to accomplish little, as the former first selectman often seemed to have already made up his mind on so many issues. Sorry, I lost my spot here. I remember on one occasion when an individual spoke directly with pointed finger at the former first selectman, requesting acknowledgement of several emails and calls she had made over several weeks with no response at all. And I too experienced that same level of frustration. In November 23, we voted for this Board of Selectmen because many of us were tired of not being heard. We voted for Judith, who repeatedly said, "I will listen." We voted for Jim, who said, "I will be fair." And we voted for Martha, who said, "You will have a voice." I believe this Board of Selectmen is working hard to keep those promises. I know all three of you work long hours to answer your constituents' emails, calls, and to research topics of concern, and that you are listening, and I thank you. But change is difficult. I applaud this Board of Selectmen's decision to hold appointed committee chairs accountable. Bring them to the table at upcoming selectmen meetings, because we still have a lot of flagrant documented occurrences where subcommittees deliberately withhold information regarding critical matters, and that needs to change. By now, we have all heard of the Alliance, or OLSSPA, a small group of powerful beach community leaders that close their meetings to the public and do not post agendas or minutes. Steve Tsunami is the chair of that organization. He is also the chair of the Old Line WPCA. At the June 24 Old Line WPCA meeting, we, the board members, were requested to vote on a document regarding the NLIMA, although no one beside the chair, and I assume the Alliance, had been allowed to read that document. And amazingly, the motion passed 5-2. I voted no because I was not allowed to read it. The following is the chairman's response to my request for documentation a few days before that meeting. He said, quote, "As a new member, you probably are not aware of procedure. You and everybody else will see what was offered to New London since we have to vote on it in executive session at that next meeting. The OLSSPA's attorney, the Alliance, has indicated we are not FOIA group and as such don't fall under the same rules. I will ask the Alliance if you can have a copy of their minutes at our next regular meeting. I will not be releasing the deep loan information as it is confidential. The town will have to either go to a town hall meeting or referendum to increase total spending on the project, though the loan is expected to reduce costs. Once it passes, I will provide you with a copy of the 180-page document." So no one on the WPCA except the chairman was allowed to read the NL agreement before voting on it, not even in executive session. And apparently, no one on the WPCA will be allowed to read the terms of the forgivable loan until after it passes a referendum. Minutes from the Old Line, the Alliance, have not been released. As Chairman Sinani stated, I am a new member, and I admit I am not aware of procedures that may have been acceptable to the prior first selectman or WPCA. But I ask this Board of Selectmen, is this the type of blind bobblehead committee compliance that you endorse? I'm voting no. I don't think you do. Change needs to happen. And thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Can
bringing it to our
I-
attention. Thank you. Minutes. Yes, thank you.
Is there anyone else for public comment in the audience? Hearing none in the audience, is there anyone online that has public comment? If so, please unmute yourself and identify. Anyone online for public comment? Going once, twice, 3 times. No takers. Okay. All right, let me just write this down so I don't. Okay. So our next up is the approval of minutes for June 17th. And if there's any changes, anything that you see that should be changed?
I would just like to add that under Cemetery Association,
Sure.
I just requested that the town be held harmless in any work they do, and that seemed to be agreeable to the Cemetery Association.
Made a motion to approve having Public Works assist, and was it incorrectly signed? You just didn't mention it, right, Jim?
Just didn't mention it, yeah. I just thought it was important that we have that
Town.
provision in the contract.
Um,
That we would want the town to be held harmless for any work that they do. Cemetery on that drainage pipe.
And I haven't heard any more on that.
If you're finished, I have.
Yep.
On page 2, number 8, second line down, Selectwoman Reed asked if there should be a cap or ceiling on income qualifications. And what I was asking for, should there be a cap on the number of units that would receive a tax exemption? Not income. Thank you. And then under number 9, the second line down, after the period, it says please, and it's like a thought is left hanging with no other words. I don't know if I said something else. It just says, some first elect woman shoemaker said she is busy working on the employee handbook and employee contracts. Please, I don't know if you say contact her in an email or what happened, but it's just hanging there.
I will check.
Okay.
It's probably an error.
Okay.
Or I might have flipped, a page,
Okay.
but I'll check it.
And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so right now we're going to move to our special presentation by Mr. Foliano. Oh, sorry.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the corrections as stated for June 17.
Well, second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? Motion passes. All right, now, Mr. Foliano. Thank you so much for coming today.
Hello again.
Hello, hello.
So they asked us for a brief update, which I have. I'm going to just rewind about 6-7 months. So a year ago, we approved, I'll start with projects. A year ago, we approved selecting Habitat for Humanity as our preferred partner for the McCulloch Affordable Homes Project. Since then, planning has proceeded, as you know very well. We ran into a little hitch in utilization of the ARPA grant in January, and it took the first quarter to resolve that, but it was successfully resolved. The town approved transfer of the property to a development partner after it's been subdivided at the town meeting on April 15th. So we're good there, and we're essentially with that project proceeding with the variance and the subdivision to put the 2 building envelopes into existence as building lots and position them to transfer to Habitat for Humanity. So that's moving forward. And the funding is clear. The other project that we've been introduced to initially is as part of a review of all the town-owned properties, we identified those parcels on Kimmick and Grandview and Hillcrest, which one is a standalone property that used to have a residence on it. And the other is anchored on a property on Grandview, but has 4 tiny lots abutting it that together, if merged, would constitute a building lot. We did some site walks on that. The folks from Habitat had a look at it. The zoning folks had a look at it. And we also found that on that one, there was a prior residence on the one in Grandview. So between the site walks, some basic feasibility studies, it looks like those two parcels, there are actually 6, but 5 of them would intend to aggregate, look feasible for a small home, a small affordable home. So we're moving forward with soil and water testing. We got the budget for that supplemental appropriation last November. Moving over soil and water testing, some initial engineering to confirm that they are buildable. And then we'll proceed with whatever zoning necessities would be in front of us to merge those 5 lots. It's a lot line modification, but there, according to the tax assessor, there's a method whereby if a single owner has non-conforming abutting lots, they can be merged into the administrative process. So we hope that has a relatively smooth path. And hopefully within a few months, we'll be back asking to endorse this as a project and go to the town for another transfer to a partner.
So on these two parcels.
These two.
Okay.
Ultimately two, currently 6.
Michael, is that, just to be clear, I might have missed something. So there's 4 on Grandview that are being combined, 5.
There are
Small lots that are being.
4
small
plus
lots.
1? And how would-
2, 4.
4.
5
being
total.
combined. That's on Grandview.
Okay.
Yep. And the other one is on Hillcrest? or
Kimmick.
On Kimmick. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Michael, what's your timeline, do you think, for going through the zoning process for the building lots on McCulloch?
This summer, we'll get it in front of the ZBA, and then it should be on a month. We don't expect a problem with that because the hardship is pretty clear. Just to review, the reason for needing a variance is because the back lot does not have, neither of those lots have frontage on Flat Rock Hill Road. So in order to utilize the right of way, they would need a variance. It's precedented because the back lot of the 2 current properties that utilize that right of way does not have frontage either. So it's precedent, the hardship is clear, and we're expecting that to be a relatively smooth sale.
Hold on 1 second. Excuse me, there's someone who is online. Your phone is noting that it says car, but you're not on, you need to mute yourself because we're hearing all the sounds and that interferes with our process of these minutes in electronic format. So could you please mute yourself? Also, whoever's on the phone with 860-836-1725, that phone is also not muted. We'd appreciate it if you could do that as well. Thank you. You're still saying that you're not muted. So we would appreciate it if you could mute yourselves. Thank you.
So it should be, we're expecting 1 cycle through ZBA, and then we can go for the subdivision, which again, it should be relatively straightforward.
Okay.
A few months.
Okay.
Um,
If that's the case, then what is our next steps on McCulloch after that?
Then it would be to transfer ownership to Habitat for Humanity, and we have approval from the town on that, so it's a major hurdle cleared, and they pick up the ball and take the baton, as I've been characterizing it, and start with the site work and the construction project.
And how do you stay involved with them at that point?
At that point, we'll spin up the steering committee that we approved.
Mhm.
Will act as a liaison between the folks that had the project team at Habitat and the town. They'll be looking to us for resources, everything from in-kind donations to cash donations to people to come out and swing a hammer. So that'll be active.
Okay, very good. Any other questions?
None. Thank you.
Okay, that's one part. Second thing is funding. Martha, at least you know, put in for a small cities community development block grant that could be used for pre-development work and potentially even land acquisition. And Jen Miller spearheaded that, and we'll see where that goes. So we will see where that goes, but in the process of looking at that grant, it became clear to us that there is a lot of funding out there, whether it's state level, from DOH, from Planning and Development Committee, there's HUD, there's USDA. So there's a fair amount of money out there, state and federal. And it also turns out that because Old Lyme has been designated as a high opportunity but low development area, we have some advantage in competing for those grants. Where we're falling short a little bit is the expertise in grant writing and grant administration. It's kind of scattered in the town.
Mhm.
So we're learning as we go. And Jen is actually going to get certified as a federal grant administrator if this goes through
Great.
in the fall. And, but I think it does underscore an opportunity and a need for some maybe collaboration across the units of town government to identify pockets of centers of expertise in grant writing and grant administration, and potentially something within the town infrastructure. But
So one of the things that I had mentioned when I first took office was that CCM offers courses and training. They're free to all of us who are involved in the town. I think I took a course in grant writing as well. It was sort of an overview course, but it certainly gave me a heads up on the different things. There are courses that you cannot go on to further take at UConn through CCM that are really very low cost. I think one was like $70, but I think that we should try to take some advantage of those. Jim has been working with Katie on a grant and along with Denise Savageau over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And they're finishing it up tonight, but Denise has been a huge help. Jim's been doing narratives, but because Denise had so much experience where she lived before, she's been a great help in making sure that we've been doing it correctly. And we have to pull together. When we apply for a grant, we have to pull together all of our resources. So we can certainly put a push out there for any grant writers in town in my newsletter and see if anybody wants to, just like we have clerks for our boards, maybe we could have some grant writers who would just,
somebody's who's done it before.
somebody who's done it before that would give us a little bit of help.
And for some of the federal grants, to differentiate it slightly from the grant preparation, there's a requirement they have a certified grant administrator in order to receive the grant. For some of the federal stuff.
Right. Okay.
Subtly different. So we got the projects, and we see opportunities to chase some funding. We're going to get. And the third area of focus is a little more diffuse, but it's in networking. We have strengthened our ties with RiverCog. We have a seat on the Regional Housing Committee. I'm actually chairing that as well. And that's given us access to DOH, to resources and expertise at RiverCog and across the towns. There's 17 towns in the lower Connecticut River Valley region. Runs all the way up to Middletown, down to Westbrook. Some rural coastal towns and some more interior towns like Durham, Middlefield, and then you have Middletown. That's a bona fide city. So there's a lot of expertise that comes to the table in that. We're taking advantage of that networking. We'll increase that going forward. So let's look into the west and to the north. Looking to the east. A year or so ago, a year and a half, is when the Center for Housing Equity and Opportunity was stood up as a collaboration of several nonprofits, the Community Foundation being prominent among them, Connecticut College, that's Beth Sevilla's organization. They have become a resource as well. In particular, they have started a playbook and a guide for community engagement that we're going to be able to leverage and get their help on, use their material and get some individual expertise from them. So that's sort of the external networking part. And also, as you know, we recently hosted a joint session of the Planning, Zoning, and Affordable Housing Commissions to look at some of the regulatory changes that would be helpful to advance affordable housing in town, which we know is a deep need. It's really timely. We didn't even know it at the time, but the budget passed with an opportunity to review all of the zoning regulations this year. So that was a good step, and we'll be continuing that. So that should keep us busy for a bit. We do have an opening for an alternate, and we are looking to fill that with someone potentially with the grant writing expertise. Would be very nice, or some of the communication skills that would go with community. Someone to.
I know that's a list of your notes. Can you share that or give it to us?
Sure, I can email that.
Okay.
Here.
Great. Thank you.
That's just my talking points.
Good.
I'll try and render it to something resembling English.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Sounds like you're doing a great job.
Okay.
You can actually, if you want to send the bullet points for the minutes, that's fine. If you want to send something more extensive to Jude and Jim after, you can. But that would be sufficient for the minutes.
And if you have any follow-up, you know where to find me.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay. All right, so we are moving on to our appointments. We have some positions available. We have one person for Halls Road Improvement Committee, Paul Gianquinto, and we have some other vacancies, but no other applications have come in. We would like to get Paul on the committee as his background, but also because he is really good at looking at contract analysis, and he's needed to do that. So I would like to call for a motion to appoint Paul Gianquinto to the Halls Road Improvement Committee.
I'll make that motion to appoint Paul A. Gianquinto to the Halls Road Improvement Committee.
I will second.
Okay, any other further discussion?
I don't know the term, otherwise I would state that in the motion.
That is a good question, because I did look at those and they are it's because it's a committee. Jude, I think it's a life term.
Okay, so it's open-ended.
Because it was a Board of Selectmen special committee called and they
Got
sit
it.
under us. So I
Okay,
believe it's a life term. That doesn't mean that you'll go to your grave on it, but it's only until you decide to get off or
okay.
for some other reason.
My motion stands.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor of appointing Paul Gianquinto to the Halls Road Improvement Committee, please signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. All right, and then our Road and Public Safety Committee. So we have a few, I wish we had more, but I saw someone in here today who was on Sill Lane, and I said, I thought you might apply, and she said, you didn't know how to do it. So we pointed her in the right direction, and hopefully we'll get an application there.
I have two more like that. They've been away.
All right. So I think that it is important that we start a conversation with this committee. We have 5 applicants. Andrea,
I missed. I only got
Gregory?
for some reason.
no, they were all sent to me.
I saw the names. I wasn't
We have-
able to, when I saw Greg. And the 5th one?
Fenton's,
Yes.
Jared, and
Yep.
Sophie
Okay,
Dunn.
very bushy.
So we have 5, and Andrea and Fred Fenton said if we felt strongly, they could just go and somebody would go as an alternate, come in as an alternate. But they are definitely on that wonderful corner.
They've had their house hit 3 times.
Yes, so they have a reason for wanting to be on this. Also Greg Fatoma, I was very impressed. He called me to say, did you know what I did in my last life? And I said, I did not, but he worked in traffic safety program.
Oh, here we go. He's a great guy.
Yes, and so we would love to appoint these people. This would also be a committee under us. This would be another life term. We did not name alternates. We said that there would be 12 members. We could start with 5, and then hopefully next time around, we would be able to appoint more by the middle of the month.
I agree with that. And perhaps we should have the Fentons fill 1 slot and 1 as alternate, because we had mentioned 2
I was
per
about
section.
to say, I think.
Right.
That is
Fred
fine.
and Andrea are amazingly wonderful people. I'd have them on any committee. But to have
Exactly.
2 people of the same household in the same committee.
Maybe we could categorize that as 1 position.
Sure. 1 vote for the House.
Exactly. It's a good
And
start.
and I hope that they would both attend the meetings, because I think they both have a lot of good things to say.
Mhm.
But we can appoint 1.
So a good start. We would have 4
Yep.
seated already. Greg Fatoma, I don't know where he lives.
He lives on Heflin Farm.
Okay, and,
That-
Bushy,
Jared Bombassi lives on
Bombassi.
Wolcott Lane. And
where's
so,
Wolcott Lane? I
uh,
didn't want everyone from the same neighborhood. that's
Right.
all.
Wolcott Lane. Anybody?
Wolcott Lane? I'm happy to appoint him, but if we have to do it by 6 sections of the town,
Yes, I know we were, and I should have, I'm sorry, Jude, I really
That's
should have
fine.
looked that up. Let's see where Wolcott Lane is in online.
and I guess I'm wondering what the 6 sections were. I know we had the beach, we had Rogers Lake, we had Lime Street, Sill Lane. It is off Saunders Hollow.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Yes.
Oh, it's Matson Ridge, off of Matson Ridge. Okay. Um,
And then McCurdy, we know where that is, and
Mhm.
Smith's Neck and Heflin, which really is also,
do we want to, table this until we get the definition of the areas? I'd love to say yes to everyone, but I don't want to go against whatever
We did,
guidelines we
we
have.
did a rough division of the town,
Right,
but I'm not sure that we actually did we didn't do a street by street definition. of
Exactly.
Where Laysville ends and Silltown begins.
exactly.
That kind of-
I don't want to turn anyone away, but I don't want anyone to say, well, you don't have any representatives from
And I'm,
Rogers Lake.
yeah, and I don't know if we were just having one person from each, or were we having two?
Two.
There's two.
Six.
So I don't
Right.
think we're gonna get in trouble by appointing.
Right.
These people, because, we have one, Sophie's on McCurdy,
okay.
which would be different than Heflin.
And Smith Neck.
And
and-
Neck and
yeah.
Heflin,
So
maybe.
we're gonna table this, and
Yes,
I'm gonna
please.
take the map of a line, and I'm gonna
Draw lines.
draw lines. I'm
Thank
not drawing it and I'll pinpoint where people are, and we'll have that for the next meeting.
Great, thank you.
So we'll table that.
Sounds
That
good.
was easy, huh, Suzanne? Okay. Yes,
You said it's going to be a committee?
it is a committee.
It will be, it's listed here as a commission.
It,
It will be a committee. Thank you.
sorry, you're right. We also need to appoint Suzanne Thompson and Greg Fatoma to be our reps on the Connecticut River Gateway Commission. Their term is ending. It's a 1-year position, 2-year position, and they are our representatives. So I received notification that they need to be reappointed. So if I could have a motion to appoint Suzanne and Greg.
I'll make a motion to appoint Suzanne Thompson, Greg Fatoma to the Gateway Commission.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any? Aye.
And thank you.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes.
Great.
Okay, now we're moving into some other new business. So I just wanted to bring you up to date on a little new equipment acquisition. If you're in the mailroom lately, you'll notice that our copier is in 2 pieces. So we did a little sleuthing and come to find out that copier was started on a lease in 2014. The lease ended 3 years later, but we retained the copier. Come to find out, it wasn't a new machine when we got it in 2014. It was a 2011. So, needless to say, the copier itself is working, but the parts to get them, but the speeder, so we can sort, staple, and everything else, that is completely fried. So Tom has done some research, and we're gonna probably have to start a new contract for a new lease on a new piece of equipment. And I just wanted to let you know that it will be running, depending on the terms of the lease, it's gonna be between $300 and $400 a month.
Great.
And we'll find it somewhere in our printing.
You need
budget.
it.
We do. We can't live without it. So I just wanted to let you know. Requests from selectmen on special presentations from other commissions. Do you have any that you'd like to hear from?
We have WPCA coming
That's
up,
next
correct?
Yes.
meeting.
You have any, Jim? I have a couple of thoughts.
I don't have any additional.
Okay. I'd like to hear from harbor management
Okay,
and perhaps open space.
sure.
Thank you.
Okay,
No particular hurry, but it's nice to hear their presentations and get their status.
I think it does the community some justice in getting an update, because not every community member can go to every one of these meetings.
Or read all the minutes.
Minutes.
That's great.
So it gives them a rough brief rundown, and then they can go look at the minutes if they choose to. Next up, delinquent tax collection update, Suzanne Thompson.
I got my bill today. Your bills were right on time today.
Well, yes, they were supposed to hit on Saturday, but they showed up
That's
on
first.
July 1st. That's right. We've been bending over backwards to explain July is tax month. You have the whole July. Nobody needs to break a leg trying to get into the town hall and pay taxes on July 1st. So state statute, that's the way it is across the state. So I wanted to bring you up to date on what we were doing in terms of doing collection of delinquent contracts. We have the right for 15 years to collect on uncollected taxes. And there's a lot of work involved with motor vehicle taxes. You make more money off of real estate, for the town, but it's important that we be fair, equitable, and clean up our records. And COVID has not made that easy with DMV being shut down for some time. And I think that lags and some bills and things. But I wanted to let you know that, so as I alerted you before the letters went out, we are using TaxServe, which has its call center based here in the state of Connecticut. It happens to be registered, I think, in the state of Virginia, and it has its collection office in Florida. But it is a business with strong Connecticut ties. Over 100 Connecticut towns use it for tax collection, as well as the state of Connecticut. So it is an approved vendor as such. We had the opportunity, of course, to review the contract carefully, and our lawyers did, as well as we reviewed the letters that go out during collection. I want to get you comfortable with this process because it's new, it's different, and people get alarmed when they get a letter from somewhere and says, please send money to Florida on behalf of the town of Old Life. So we've gotten a number of calls. Is this real or not? Yes, and we explain that it is. It's on our town website on the tax collector page. You do have to go down one click to find it, but we clearly have delinquent taxes, tax. There's also a paragraph about it in the events magazine that just came out right next to the legal notice. So we think that we've let people know about it. And certainly if someone calls, we call them back and explain what is going on. So in the first month of collection so far, we've had 32 payments received totaling $7,684.06 that comes to us. That is taxes and interest. TaxServe and other collection agencies make their money, again, allowed by state statute, 15% additional collection fee. In many cases, we don't have current addresses for the people who owe taxes. So a big benefit of it is using legal services like LexisNexis and similar searches to find current addresses for people. Most of the taxes that are due are for people that have moved out of state. Maybe they re-registered a big vehicle in another state. Maybe they didn't for a couple of years. So as long as it's not registered somewhere else and they're driving tax and it online is their address of residence, then we get that tax. So, but there is a bit of a lag, that October brand list, the bill is due the next July. And so when people leave the state, if they don't leave a forwarding address, there may be a tax bill that they don't realize. But we cannot waive the interest on that. And the interest penalty is 18% per year. That's why I thought we need to step up and really let people know there's an outstanding bill. So of the payments that have come in, the 32 so far, the biggest number, 6 of them, brand list year 2010. That's a number of years back. The number one, 2018 and 19, we're beginning to see pickup in payments as well. Payments have come in from Arizona, Florida, Hawaii, Indiana, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, and Connecticut. Now, we have had holds placed by the office on people with the DMV, so they could not re-register cars. I don't know why some of these old holds were not still in place.
Well, as you said, DMV was closed. There were some problems.
Right, and DMV's been automating over the years, and town offices have been automating over the years. So some people have said, how did you find me? And said, well, we used a legal LexisNexis. Why in the world do I have this tax bill and I could have registered a car in Connecticut? I'm honestly not sure on some of those situations, but it is their obligation to realize that they have. So the next round of letters will go out from TaxServe, because until these are resolved, there's still an interest ticker going on. The oldest bills, the grand list year 2008 bills, we cannot collect any further after June 30th. So we will stop sending letters to those people whose bill is due in July. Those who had a supplemental bill due the following January, they'll get a second letter. So the question is then, so we've had about 100 tax bills on average per year that didn't get collected for motor vehicles, ranging 25 to 35 to 45,000 range for each year. When you get to 2020, which I did not turn over to the collection agency yet, and 2021, we still have, I think, a significant number of tax bills out there that we need to step up and remind people. And by my using TaxServe to track down addresses, I can do a better job of doing that and letting them know. For example, 2020 bill, which would have been due in July of 2021, we still have 163 bills outstanding, $33,000. And the interest ticker is still going. And that's the problem. They have to address this. We don't want to penalize them anymore. 2021, 237 bills. So those would have been due the summer of 2022 or January of 2023, $63,000. And then the 2022 grant this year, we just finished up June 30th. That was the end of the year, but they should have paid the bill in July. We still have 514 tax bills out there. $44,000.
So you're $200,000.
Yeah, $240,000.
Yep.
Yeah. So we just need to tighten it up. And I have not had time to compare with other towns. Of like, is this normal? Is there this lag? One of the lag situations has been that DMV, by going to a 3-year registration cycle, people don't realize the car is still in that registration. So it's a bit of cleanup, it's a bit of catch up. Number of factors going on. But so if people call you and say that tax office is coming after me, it's like, yeah, yes, they are. Yes, yeah. But we do want to make it easier. And we put a thing on our website where you can go and plug in your first name, date of birth, driver's license number at the DMV and see if you have taxes outstanding with your town, with Old Lyme. So it's like, know before you ever go to the DMV, please use this thing on our website. It's their link, but it's a service I don't think a lot of people know about.
Suzanne, is that the 2020 through 22 numbers you just gave us for a little under $250,000? Is that just cars or is that?
That's motor vehicle. This is all, we're only talking motor vehicles. I've not dealt with real estate. I'll be back in.
That's a good chunk of change right there.
Yeah, it is. And it's frustrating as having to pay your car taxes are. We're all going to be frustrated together. We're going to be fair and equitable about it. Yeah. So happy to answer any questions.
Would you be so kind to give me a clean copy of your notes?
I will be happy to
Add
do
that to the
that.
back of the minutes so that people can read it at their leisure.
That's good. And I'll be back in a couple months to talk real estate.
And this is in a town with a good collection rate.
Oh, yes, this is in a town with a good collection rate. People really want to pay their taxes. They do. They should.
And you had phone calls where people called and said, how'd you find me? But they were like, okay, we'll get you the check, $70 or whatever it was, but they were not, they was very much agreeable. We had a few that were a little upset, but we're okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so the next two things sort of go together, ordinance reviews and the town meeting notification survey. So one of the things that we realized, and this has certainly been brought up in the Connecticut legislative as well, but the amount of publishing public notices for meetings. And we have an ordinance and it's in chapter 41-1, that says that if we are going to have a town meeting between November 1st and May 1st, we will publish it in 3 papers. Actually, it says here, Hartford, New Britain, and Springfield. So those 3 papers get published as well as the day. So we have spent a great deal of money over the last few months in our quest. I thought I knew I had this covered, but I don't think it has. But I can just tell you that just our one town meeting with Springfield Republican was $2,036. And now this amendment that we did was amended in 2003. So
Not the state, our,
this is ours.
okay, great.
Right. So what I have asked is for Cheryl Poirier to work with me on a Survey Monkey to go out to the community, but we'll push through the beach associations to have their members definitely fill it out. What newspapers do you read? Because if they do not read the Springfield Republican, people may have sold their house, they're no longer here. Which ones do we really look to publish these papers? And I have no problem posting the meeting, or,
I got it. I hear you.
but I think that we are wasting our money. We had one that they wanted $8,000 for on a Friday. And I said, well, we won't put it in on Friday. We'll put it in on Thursday. She goes, oh, we only put these notices in on Fridays. I said, well, that's not going to really work for me. So those are where we are with that. So just so you know, but I also think there's probably some other ordinances. So in your free time, when you're online, if you'd like to go to the ordinance, I think there's a few others that may be a little outdated and maybe should be brought up and looked at to be reviewed by us. So, and that is where we are on those two things.
Any idea when the survey will take place?
We're hoping it will be done in the next month.
Okay, great.
So that, and we will publicize it and get it out there. I don't know if we'll go to postcards because we did that before for surveys, which was very successful. We had over 1,200 participants, but we might start it off to see if we get it out through word of mouth first.
And maybe some, I know it's silly, maybe some postings at Soundview Community Center
Yep.
and the local coffee shops and coffees where people frequent, even a liquor store.
Right.
Thank you.
Teddy's. Oh, yeah, we can see what we can get up. Okay, so Swan Brook update. So I believe it was the Board of Finance meeting in April where we asked for an additional $16,500 to do some repairs down at the crib. And we started to do so. The east wall was taken out. That was $1,500. And now we're talking about the trash racks that have to go in. And first, we were going to put the trash racks at both ends, the outlet and the retention center. And then as we thought about it and started to do a little bit more survey, putting the trash racks at the outlet causes a problem because then you can't clean the outlet out when it gets clogged. So we decided not to do that. And we are going to continue to work on the retention center. And that quote came in for $6,300. So that will be moving forward.
And
That leaves us a total in that special account, $88,689.68. So then today, we also, of course, have a new permit to rebuild the crib. So I got a phone call today that, from Keith at DACO, that, Tom Macknick had asked for a little bit more construction document. So he said that it'll be between $2,000 and $4,000 to get the construction document together so that we know where the pilings should be going, a little bit more exact figures. So I will allow him to go ahead with that unless any of you have great concerns.
I'm
So
happy.
that will come out of that $8,689. And then, of course, we will have to go to town meeting for the overall quote. I did talk to, and we'll have to talk about this as well. I did talk to Keith about going out to bid.
Mhm.
Should we have a bid package? This will definitely be over $25,000. And he said, I would be concerned if you went out to bid and got a low bid and had to take it, because there are some of these companies that are not following through on their work. And he knows that Tom Macknick and family are true to this town. And he said, I know that they'll do a good job. They will subcontract out the piling driving, though. That'll be done by someone else. So if we're going to waive the bid on this, I think that we are going to have to do some type of, we do not need to do it today, but I think that we are going to have to ask for the Board of Finance to actually waive the bidding process on it as well.
Well, it is such a specialty work, and Keith has been around for a long time. I'm impressed that we can get the immediate response that we're getting from him, because he is so busy. And I do trust his judgment, but maybe we can present it in a way that, are we required to accept the lowest bid?
Well, in most cases, yes, unless they haven't done something.
I mean,
You can ask for references, you can, and he's told me that he didn't name any company. He hasn't given me any information. He just said, I'm just afraid you will get a lower bid, but it will not be the quality of work that you are going to need for that. And this is very important. And look, Keith and I have had long conversations. My biggest fear is we put another $100,000 into the crib and we have one good hurricane and then there isn't a crib again. We have, this wonderful group of people, that are shoveling out. We've got some volunteers from Hawks Nest. We've got volunteers at Miami. Ed's been going down because low tide does not always coincide with work hours. So everybody's been doing what they can, and it doesn't clog all the time. It's only on the extremely high tides and when we get wind and a lot of heavy waves.
and we live on the shoreline, that's why we have it. This doesn't require action right now.
No, it doesn't. I just want you to, I want you to aware, because if we are going to waive a bid process, we would have to do it next time around. So I just wanted
Thank
to,
you.
next time around, you can do your homework.
Yes, thank you.
We can talk to Board of Finance and see what they think, and we can go from there.
Thank you.
Old business, I just want you to know on that low income housing ordinance that, BJ had worked on with Mike Carey, for the tax abatements. I, sent questions off to Mike, and he has not gotten back to me, but I will, and I want to send the question. BJ was also CC'd on those. Okay, now we have an update on a request from the Old Lyme Fire Department. I see Jared here, but he's been great about getting me all this information, but he's also here. As you know, they want to trade in their Zodiac for class. So he did his homework that Jude requested, and Dingy Pro came back and said that would be between 3,500 and 5,000. So,
You were kind enough to,
yes,
or it was sent to us.
Jared.
Well, thank you.
not to Jim, sorry if you were not it, but
Oh,
I mean, it makes sense. It was because Jude and I went and saw it in the crossroom
thank you.
at the ribbon cutting. We got a tour. So we have that, and he said if, he'd offer around 4,000 is what he would offer if he was, and that would be the boat and
And
the
trailer.
trailer. So, he reached out to Dan at the Water Training Resources, and they said that they're willing to offer 4,000 outright or the cost of an upcoming marine training that they have scheduled and make up the difference paid to the town. The training is approximately 2,000.
$2,000.
So, we'd have another 2,000. I do have one question on this, Jared. Is it possible that he said he would either make up the difference and give us, or a credit? Would he give a credit? Would you need further training from water training at another date?
It's a continuing process. For simplicity,
Yes.
honestly, they just, if they're willing to pay the $4,000,
Right.
we roll it into an apparatus fund. I think that makes everybody happy. They get a great asset. We get funds back to the town.
But it's not just apparatus money. You would use that for training if need be. No.
That would be your guys'.
So
Okay.
I just know from Anita, from being trained through finance, when a check comes in, cannot just go to an account. It comes in as revenue. And then if you wanted to come back to us and ask for an appropriation for further training, you could certainly use your backup data to say you did get a check for 2,000 from our Zodiac that we could use for this. And then I'm sure the Board of Finance would be more than happy, but it has to come into revenue and can't be transferred out to another account.
I think that. Well, I had.
Yep.
But I think it's the cleanest way to handle it.
I agree.
And Anita would send you, let you know, somebody keep. So if this works for everybody, then we have to, I think, make a motion to say that we're okay with them trading it in for $4,000. Well, selling it.
I think it would be, and look at the process, would be to sell it to them directly.
Right.
Well, bidding isn't only, not when you're selling.
Yes.
Yeah, in lieu of selling it outright or going through that process.
I'm sure someone will say that we should have held out for the $5,000, but in the essence of time and a bird in the hand, I think I'd like to make a motion that we sell it to Dingy, what was it called? Water Resources for $4,000, the Zodiac with the trailer.
I'll second.
And I would just like to add to that too, that this opens up space at the Cross Lane Firehouse, much needed space for storage. So that's also time. We could advertise it for the next 3 months, and during hurricane season, I'm sure you'd like to have more space in that. Okay, so hearing no further discussion, call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the sale of the dinghy and you call it a dinghy, but you also call it a Zodiac. The Zodiac on the trailer for $4,000 to Water Transit Resources, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, it is now time for Selectmen's general discussion. Oh, I will say that I have one more thing, just so that you know, I forgot to put this in the news release, but I know. Thanks, Jared, for coming. Amtrak did award their contract for the modern Connecticut River Bridge to O&G Tudor Perini, a joint venture.
They did the Baldwin Bridge.
Did they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there is going to be a meeting on July 18th at 6 p.m. At the G. Duffy Pavilion at 155 College Street in Saybrook for interested parties.
Is that the old sandbar at the foot of?
I believe it is. I just never referred to that as College Street.
Oh, that was my address in high school. College Street. At Maple Avenue, it becomes College Street.
Oh, okay. So there you go.
All righty.
So I will put that in my newsletter this week as well.
Okay.
I
What
did
was that
ask
time on that? July 18th.
6 p.m.
Okay, great.
so we can get more information.
Excellent.
Okay. And I did ask the question if they had picked a contractor yet for their study of the capacity study along the shoreline trails. And according to my contact, they have not. And she was sort of surprised that they hadn't yet. So that's all I know on that one. Cool. All right, any other general discussion?
I have a couple of questions or comments. Can you just give us an update on Tanamaheg? I know we had a meeting 2 weeks ago.
I feel bad because Mr. Atkinson.
Well, he'll see it in a minute.
I just briefly, surveyor has been contacted. This is a historic surveyor, has many of our documents. They're working on a quote. So they're working on a quote. And I met them this morning and handed off some more documentation that they had requested. So to help the quote and anything that we can provide to them, at least that means that, it would be,
Okay.
they want to do the best possible job for us. They strongly suggested they want us, litigation ready if the case it goes any further. So they're going to work out a quote and we'll go to town, we'll go to ask for an appropriation for that.
Okay. I have two other items, one along Mary Daly's line. I'm hearing all over town about communities not knowing what's going on or the selectmen not being transparent at the town hall. So with that in mind, I'd like to make a motion that the town hall releases documents regarding Eric Knapp's administrative leave, unredacted. I still don't know anything about it. I was told the day.
All of the paper, they were all FOIA requests were told that they would have a packet this week.
Okay. So that's when I will find out what's going on. I still don't really know. So it'll be this week. Thank you.
They were all notified last week.
Okay, and the second thing is, there was an incident in March that I heard about, and you notified that an EMT had resigned, and there was a sexual harassment accusation. Again, I don't know anything more about that, and I would like to make a motion. Again, we didn't act on the first motion. I don't know if, so I'd like to make a motion about the Eric Knapp administrative leave so I can receive, along with the public, all information regarding that incident.
I'll second your motion.
Thank you.
Any discussion on that motion?
On specifically on the Eric Knapp, I would like whatever documents that are released through FOIA go through council. I know there's been a document dumped publicly. I'm concerned about individuals sort of being exposed who have nothing to do with the case. Private citizens sort of being ridiculed publicly. And, there's really, I don't know what the necessity is for that to happen. I understand that, the public has a right to know if there's, any sort of problem with public officials. But, commentary about private citizens, I would just like to have council have a look at that before it gets released. So the unredacted part and addresses and things like that kind of concerns me. I don't know how Eric feels about it. I saw his address sort of been made public, his home address in that document dump. And I don't know what the origin of it is, but that's the sort of thing that I would have liked council to redact, before it went out.
I'd like to know something about how it was resolved as well. So, therefore the motion.
Okay. Call for a vote.
I'm in favor.
So are we voting on an unredacted or a redacted?
I will,
Well, let me just put it this way. Most of the information that went out was not redacted.
Right, that
And
sort of concerns.
Unfortunately, it concerns me too, because there are people in this town that pay taxes and their names should have been withheld. But because it wasn't their communication to Eric, it was emails talking about them. And that was not part of that should have been held back. And Eric's address should have been held back as well.
I have not seen what you're referring to.
We'll have to get caught up
But
on,
the only way, excuse me?
you'll have to get caught up on the City Examiner because there is on there, all the paperwork.
And I've been out of town, so
Yeah.
and as I was instructed, I go to you first on this.
And I am going through my, both attorneys, town attorney and, our labor attorney. And they are working on it and they said that they would have a packet ready at the, sometime this week. Could be earlier than the 4th, might be Friday, don't know. I haven't heard anything today.
I will modify my motion to Jim's amendments to it so that I can see what I'm entitled to see, so.
Okay.
So you will both get copies when the press does.
Okay, and are we done with that?
I think you want to vote.
Okay.
So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes.
And the last item I have is regarding a sexual harassment incident. I would like to make a motion that though any documents be released with only the victim's name redacted and made public.
Did you want to second that?
For the purpose of discussion, I'll second that.
Okay.
My concern is that if in fact this is taking place, there are people who are being protected that maybe should not be. And we have community members, we have employees, we have volunteers, and we have school children.
Mhm.
And I would not want behavior like that to continue, especially if there's something we can do to prevent it. And therefore, my motion.
Okay. Well, we'll open it for discussion purposes.
Yeah, I think, when we first found out about it, it was very serious and
Yes.
action was immediately being taken.
Well, he resigned.
And yeah, but there was also an investigation opened and it was my understanding that because of the involvement and now this has been made public, so that it involved, circumstantial way the local police.
Certain what?
That-
Sorry, Jim, I didn't.
that it circumstantially involved local police, that the state police stepped in to take over the investigation.
That's
I was told there wasn't. I asked about investigations and you said none and done.
because the investigation was taken out of our hands when the victim filed a complaint at the state police department. And
Yes.
once that happened, due to circumstances of the connection with the local police, they took over the investigation, took all the files, and
Well, you know more about it than I do, and I'm really feeling shut out on some of these things. I did not know the police had an investigation.
was noted for some time that
Yeah,
the police
I
had an
thought-
investigation.
We all were.
And
That it's
because
police
of their
department.
involvement, I was told, give me what you have. And actually, I barely got it because it just went over.
Is that person volunteering or employed in our community? Would be the abuser.
No,
Okay.
just right away.
I know he resigned. I'm just,
No, it was put on administrative leave within an hour.
I
Of
thought he
my,
resigned.
well, he didn't have contact with me. I told his superior he was on administrative leave immediately.
Okay.
I mean, I called him
Make the
here
motion.
and then he resigned the next day.
I would be very concerned about releasing documents that would imperil the state police investigation.
That's right.
I know some people are cynical about their investigation and are pushing us to sort of get ahead of the state police. And that is not something I'm comfortable with. I haven't seen anything personally that would shake my confidence in their ability to do a fair investigation at this point. And I don't want to do anything as a town that would imperil the victim's right to seek justice, because we've come out ahead of the state police and released information that maybe would, imperil the investigation by showing prejudice or lack of due process, which to some people may sound like a cop-out. And I'd like to state, I've seen a lot of the commentary online about this Board of Selectmen, protecting a predator. And I think that kind of, people have the right to say whatever they want, but I think that kind of rhetoric is inflammatory and completely unfounded. So I think we need to defend ourselves as the board against that. It's like say unequivocally, we take this very, very seriously, and so seriously that I wouldn't want to step ahead of this investigation and in any way imperil I guess the process, where something that we do will maybe let someone go free who shouldn't go free, or, I'm not sure what that could entail, but I'd like to see the state police finish their investigation.
Well, I made my motion based on the information I have, which is not a lot.
Mhm.
So,
So my dealings have been, and I have pushed the state police on 2 occasions. And I saw the investigating officer on a different matter a while ago, a month ago, and asked, and he said that he was working on it. So I know that they're overworked and I know they're understaffed over there, but we are a resident state trooper town, and there's someone assigned to it. And I believe they should, I put some pressure on and asked for it to be finished or to let us know, but they have not come out with anything to me as of today. So I'm just sitting and waiting. But the situation was resolved within hours of it happening, and to make sure that the victim was supported, knew that there were options open for that person, and that we were here to do anything that needed to be done. So,
Yeah, I think we see this in cases all over the country where, a mayor of a town will want to say something about a case. And they can't because the feds have taken it over and it would prejudice the case. So,
well,
that's just,
and we
yeah.
have a vote, and I obviously am outvoted.
well, we haven't called for a vote yet.
No.
We'll call for a vote on that motion, and all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Any abstentions? None.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anything else? Hearing none, we can adjourn at 6:50.
Thank you.
Oh, we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 6:50.
I'll second.
Aye.
Aye.
Good.